Chapter 10. Blood, Sweat, and Cotton Candy. Welcome to this year's special qualifying opportunity for the World Martial Arts Championships. We have 3 openings vacant in the 16-person field, so this weekend's top 3 place finishers will earn the right to participate in the tournament held in 2 weeks with competitors from all around the world, says the mayor, a large and round man with a comical handlebar mustache that has been out of style for longer than he's even been alive. And so, without further ado, let's get this thing started. For match 1, can I have Travis Sparks and Curtis Loges? Please report to the scores table. The first 3 fights come and go quickly, 1 by ring out and 2 by fast knockouts. Mitch is up in the 4th bout of the tournament, going up against an aged mountain of a man with massive arms and thick facial hair named Otis Plimpton. "Why do I gotta be paired up against frickin' Dawson's Creek?" Otis grumbles. Mitch lowers into a fighting stance, saying nothing. A faint, static-like glow radiates around Mitch. Jake is barely able to notice, but it is still visible. Is that glow again? Was Mitch right? Did I really knock something loose while I was wrestling with Rusty? Jake wonders. Otis charges Mitch, who quickly sidesteps the bulky man. Otis's fist cuts through the air, and the force of his blow is strong enough to knock the hat off of a spectator in the crowd. This event causes the people watching to cheer loudly with excitement. "You're strong. That would have knocked me into next week had it connected," Mitch smiles. "Too bad you're too slow to hit me." Otis curses under his breath and turns around, his bulk shaking the stage. Jake watches the glow around his older cousin flicker several times, as if reacting to his increased adrenaline. The glow. It shows up during strenuous physical activity. When I sparred against Rusty, it seemed to increase in reaction to his moves, concentrating in his legs or arms or even bulging to the sides. It's some kind of fighting nightlight. But why can I see it, and it seems that no one else can, Jake wonders. Mitch runs towards Otis and quickly drops, sliding between his legs and kicking the larger man in the back, which knocks him off balance. As Otis stumbles, Mitch hops to his feet and pivots, kicking the man across the side of the head and sending him crashing off the side of the stage. Otis stands up, cursing loudly as the mayor declares Mitch Rigsby the winner. "Care to spar a little to limber up?" Jake asks. "Not all out or anything. I wouldn't want either of us getting hurt before our matches even start." Rusty nods, lowering into a fighting stance. "I'll go easy on you." Jake grins. "Is that so? Well, don't hold back too much. I don't want you getting too embarrassed." Rusty springs towards Jake, throwing a hard right. Jake stands his ground, catching Rusty's fist. Rusty counters with his left, but Jake kicks his lead leg and puts his cousin off balance. Still holding Rusty's arm, he's able to throw him over his shoulder. Rusty hits the ground hard, but kicks both feet up, catching Jake in the face. Jake hops backward, barely taking contact from the hit. Rusty does a kip-up, rising handspring to his feet, rushes Jake with fast jabs. Jake tries not to back up as he defends, but his cousin's speed and ferocity is insane, and he cannot avoid it for long. Annoyed he had to retreat several steps to Rusty, Jake blocks his next punch and rotates his hand out of the way to deliver a hard straight-arm jab to the nose. Rusty staggers back, surprised. Blood runs down the teen's nostrils. Shit. I let my emotions get the best of me and put too much behind that one. "Well, we better dial it back a notch or we're going to take each other out of the competition and do our opponent's work for them," Jake says. Gavin stands at one of the carnival game stations, dropping a quarter into a slot and hoping the sliding block will push his coin into the others for a big payoff. Focused on the game, he does not notice Brad and his friends approach. "Look at this little faggot," Brad laughs, shoving Gavin away from the station. "Why are you wasting quarters on this game?" Vaughn asks, laughing. "I thought your family was poor and shit." "Leave me alone," Gavin sighs. "I haven't done anything to you." Brad grabs Gavin by the shirt and forcibly pulls him in close. "We were all having a good time at Colton's party until your buddy Jake Stewart came riding in on his white horse. You made us all look like chumps." "I had nothing to do with that." Brad shoves Gavin towards the funhouse, and all the teens enter the dark building where no one can see them. "You should have stuck beside Stewart. He can't save you this time." "You're going to have it a lot worse than wearing panties," Todd laughs before Brad punches Gavin in the gut. Gavin doubles over. trying to reach out for something to keep him on his feet. He almost touches Aisha's shoulder, but she backs away in disgust. "Gross! That little loser just tried to cop a feel," she shouts. "No," Gavin coughs. "I didn't." Brad shoves him to the floor hard. "Are you calling her a liar?" Vaughn kicks Gavin several times in the side. "You fucking piece of shit." A carnival worker steps inside, having not seen anyone leave the building for a while, and hoping the teens aren't doing something weird. "Hey, you kids get the hell out of here." Brad leans down and grabs Gavin by the shirt. "This isn't the end, loser. We aren't even. Not by a long shot." 2 more fights come and go before it's Rusty's turn to battle against a 20-year-old Korean-American named Brian Chen. "You're about to regret playing ninja, white boy," Chen growls, as Rusty steps onto the stage to face him. "Obviously, you've never seen American Ninja. Martial arts and the ability to fight aren't limited by race," Rusty replies. "My father was a SEAL. Those guys could kick Bruce Lee's ass while wearing a blindfold and receiving a root canal." Chen darts towards Rusty, delivering a kick to the face so fast and powerful that the younger boy never even saw it coming. Jake notes that the glow emitted by Chen is many times larger and more vibrant than either Mitch or Rusty's. Rusty tries to counter, but Chen catches his fist in one hand. "You telegraph way too much. I saw that attack coming before you even threw it," Chen mocks. He punches Rusty in the chest and knocks him to his back. Rusty crawls to his feet, but Chen is instantly on him again with a kick to the ribs. Blood explodes from the boy's mouth as he yelps loudly in pain. "Rusty!" Sue screams, ready to come to the aid of her youngest, and having to be restrained by Gator. Rusty manages to stand, blood running down his chin and neck, which wets his t-shirt. Chen snickers, scratching his nose. "I told you that you're going to regret playing pretend. You're no martial artist. I'm a black belt and the top student instructor of my dojo. You're nothing. You don't even belong to a dojo." Chen laughs, mocking Rusty. The glow around Rusty intensifies, piquing Jake's interest. That light around Rusty's brighter now. What's going on? Chen runs at Rusty, but the younger boy dodges, catching his opponent with a hooked kick to the back of the head. Chen crashes to his face, hitting the floor so hard that a piece of one of his bottom teeth becomes embedded in the stage. "You little bastard!" Chen screams, standing back up. Blood runs down his mouth, and a tournament official is forced to come running to the stage to check his welfare. Chen pushes the official aside, spitting the remainder of his tooth onto the ground. "I'm going to make you pay for that." Chen leaps at Rusty, throwing a straight left jab. Rusty brings his forearms up to defend, the attack hitting his bones hard and instantly turning his arms red. Rusty instinctively lowers his arms as the pain flushes through his body, and gives Chen just the opening he needs to attack. Chen darts forwards, hitting Rusty across the face with a left hook that sends him flying off the stage. Rusty moans, slowly standing up to see that he is lost by ring out. Chen rubs his jaw, his mouth still sore from Rusty's one attack. "That kid has potential. He kicked me harder than anyone ever has. And when I punched him, it was like hitting solid rock." Chen thinks in astonishment, his left fist swelling up already and throbbing with pain. Disappointed, Rusty returns to his friends and family. "You did great, kid." Gator smiles. "You should have seen the look on his face when he saw his tooth chip off." K-Dog laughs. "This sucks. I really didn't think I'd go 1 and out. It's really embarrassing." Rusty sighs, his shoulders sagging and his posture reflecting his depression. "It was your first competition. No one can expect to win their first time," Gator says, comforting his son. "I guess, but it still sucks," Rusty says quietly, trailing off. Jake steps forward, punching Rusty lightly in the shoulder. "I'll get a shot at him eventually, and give him your regards," Jake smiles. "He's on my side of the bracket," Mitch interrupts. "And I know you don't have what it takes to win the 4 times it would take to make it to the finals. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Speaking of which, I'm up next." Jake jumps onto the stage as his opponent. A fiery-haired man, tall and lean, walks up the steps. "I'd save my energy, kid," the man named Alan Siotic says, his voice cold and emotionless, which is stark contrast to his vibrant red hair. I'll take that into consideration, Jake replies, stretching his legs out. Psyotic wastes no time darting at Jake. Psyotic's glow flares out quickly and causes Jake to hop backwards. Psyotic's fist grazes Jake's chest, and he feels a stronger force behind the blow, and is thankful that he was able to dodge it in time. Nice reflexes, Psyotic says, warming up slightly. The glow around Psyotic condenses into his legs. I don't know exactly why, but I know that means he's going to move again, Jake thinks. Psyotic pushes off, thrusting towards Jake with tremendous speed. Jake leaps up, placing his hands on Psyotic's shoulders and using his back as a springboard to flip over him. Psyotic pivots, but Jake has already turned to face him and delivers a solid roundhouse kick to the face. Psyotic shouts in pain and surprise as the blow knocks him off of the stage and against a machine that converts dollars into carnival tokens, tipping it over. Psyotic stares up at Jake and the stage in disbelief. 7 more matches come and go. Most are uneventful, with one competitor much better than the other. One extremely close fight, however, takes over an hour to conclude, and is finally decided by points at the scorer's table. Unable to continue any further with the tractor pull coming up at 8 o'clock, the mayor announces that round 2 will begin the next day, Friday, at 9 a.m. You made it to day 2. I'm impressed, Mitch says, walking past Jake. Jake merely nods, knowing that anything he says in response would cause Mitch to change his veiled compliment into something more mean-spirited. Are you staying for the tractor pull? Derek asks Jake. I think I'm probably just going to go home and get some extra rest. Tomorrow's not going to be easy, to say the least. Well, we'll see you in the morning then. Yeah, see you guys later, Jake replies, waving goodbye to everyone and walking off with his mother. He runs. He knows he is on all fours, but cannot understand why. The air rushes past his face, and he knows that he's moving quickly. The smell of seawater is close by. A sense of urgency fills his mind. Jake knows that he must reach his destination soon, or there will be dire consequences. Yet he does not know his destination, or what those consequences would be. A bridge appears ahead, wide and decorative, yet primitive and old. Centuries, maybe older. A massive city lies in the distance, enveloped within the tallest mountains that Jake has ever seen. Water surrounds the mountain citadel on all sides, save for the bridge leading to the mainland. The bridge is the only way to access the city. A wolf howls behind Jake, and instantly he is left with a chill of fear and a single name, Fenrir. Keep running, Yamura. Run like the coward that you are, the voice of the wolf Fenrir taunts from behind. Jake awakens in a cold sweat, gasping for breath. Whose dream was that? Fenrir? Yamura? What the hell? Jake glances over to see an empty bottle of Mountain Dew on his nightstand. That's it. No more soda before bed. It's too weird, Jake thinks, throwing his head back against the pillow. Jake drifts back into sleep. If he dreams again of strange and far-off places, it's lost to him, as he wakes up remembering nothing new. The mayor takes the main stage, greeting everyone who has come to the fair's 5th day. The mayor dabs the sweat off his forehead with a napkin and takes a deep breath, never really having enjoyed public speaking. Mae Jackson is making fresh funnel cakes. Can't you smell them? Go over there and grab one. Then come right back here in 10 minutes for some more spectacular martial arts action. It's day 2 of our World Martial Arts Championships qualifying tournament. Congratulations to all the competitors who made it through the first round, the mayor shouts, trying his best announcer voice. Rusty sighs deeply, ashamed that he is not one of those competitors. Guess I better grab one of those funnel cakes. Nothing cheers depression like deep-fried batter and powdered sugar, he thinks to himself. Rusty walks over to the funnel cake stand to see that Jake is already there with K-Dog and Derek. He smiles and waves at his friends before ordering a funnel cake and shoving the entire thing into his mouth. You look like a hamster, Jake laughs. Rusty replies something unintelligible. So who do you have to fight today? Sorry I had to miss your fight yesterday, but I had a game, K-Dog asks. I haven't looked yet, Jake shrugs. What do you mean you haven't looked? You have to scout the competition. I watched the team I have to play this afternoon all week so that I know their style and how they react. That way, when game time rolls around, I'll be shooting threes all day over their weak-ass perimeter defense. I guess finding out who your opponent is and what their style is like is some of the fun. You're a sadist, K-Dog laughs. You need to have your cousin's head examined, he adds, turning to Derek and Rusty. I'm afraid they'd be terrified of what they find there. Probably a dog chasing its own tail, K-Dog snorts. Or a monkey scratching its ass then smelling its hand, Derek adds. Or a cabinet with a bunch of empty drawers, Rusty finishes. Jake shakes his head and buys a funnel cake of his own, and a large lemonade. The 4 teenagers walk back over to the stage, where Gator, Sue, and Mitch are all standing. Just in time. After this match, Mitch is up, Sue says, pointing to the stage where 2 40-somethings in faded karate uniforms bow to each other and prepare to battle. Jake barely registers a glow around either man, even after they begin to go at it furiously, and wonders what is wrong with him and if his head is still messed up from the previous weekend. The fight lasts around 8 minutes, with one of the men managing to lock the other into a submission hold around the neck until he passes out. Mitch cracks his neck and prepares to take the stage for the second bout. A tall, lean African-American about the same age as him stares Mitch down before grinning widely. Jake's eyes bulge as he notices that the typical glow has been replaced by a rolling mist surrounding Mitch's opponent. Terrence Baker, the man says, extending a hand to Mitch before the match. Mitch shakes his head, lowering into a deep fighting stance instead. Well, you're a rude one, Terrence mutters, also lowering into a fighting position and raising his fists. We aren't here to make friends, Mitch says, remaining focused. Terrence shrugs and flanks Mitch with amazing quickness. Mitch pivots instinctively, putting an arm up in defense as Terrence throws a right hook. The blow slams into Mitch's arm, pushing him back several feet. Mitch grinds his teeth in anger, his arm throbbing in pain. Be careful, he's tough, Jake shouts. Nah, you think? Mitch barks back angrily. Terrence steps forward, somehow closing the distance between him and Mitch. Mitch shifts his weight to his right leg, slightly behind his left, and prepares to attack. But Terrence moves with such swiftness and precision that he's able to strike Mitch's right shoulder and thigh with an open-palmed knife-hand maneuver before the teen can even respond. Mitch's right side suddenly becomes numb, his right arm dropping lifelessly to the side, and his left leg feeling heavy and weak. Mitch swings his left arm around in a hook punch, but Terrence blocks with his closest hand and strikes the teen's left shoulder with his other. Mitch is unable to move either arm or his leg. Experience, Terrence replies. You need more of it before trying to become a champion. Terrence thrusts an open palm towards Mitch's chest to end the match, but the teen twists his body, blocking with his already numbed left shoulder. Mitch sacrifices his already decommissioned arm to prevent an immediate loss. Not bad, Terrence smiles. How do I attack him with only one leg and no arms? Mitch wonders in desperation as Terrence moves to strike again. Terrence feigns a right jab, and as Mitch shifts to dodge, Terrence sweeps Mitch's good leg out from beneath him. Mitch falls to his back hard, the wind knocked from him. Mitch desperately gasps for air, trying to refill his burning lungs. Terrence kneels and with almost surgical precision delivers a single strike to the center of Mitch's chest, sending the teen into unconsciousness. Mitch awakens 45 minutes later in the first aid tent, 3 more matches having come and gone. Now his cousin Jake is in the middle of a fast-paced battle against one of the tournament's youngest entries, alongside Rusty, a 14-year-old named Richard Swanson. The battle has already been waging for 6.5 minutes, revealing a worn-down, blood-covered, and bruised Jake. The younger opponent is relatively undamaged. Mitch exits the tent and rejoins his family near the stage, rubbing his head. What's going on? Why is Jake all beat up? Mitch asks, his head still groggy. He's barely been able to lay a hand on the kid, Gator replies. Every time he tries, the kid is just too fast for him. Richard launches forwards, his fists pumping like pistons. Jake hops backward, trying to stay ahead of the younger boy in fear of taking any more damage. Jake's head is rocked to the side by a connecting blow, blood exploding from his mouth. Richard continues, pressing his advantage. Jake forced to roll with the punch and work the edge of the stage, trying not to misstep. Jake rotates along the edge, kicking the back of Richard's leg in an attempt to make him stumble. Richard bends his knee to cushion the blow and pivots, delivering a solid roundhouse kick to the side of Jake's face. Jake bounces across the ground, knocked to the other end of the stage and nearly skidding off in a ring out. Damn it, this kid is unreal, Jake thinks, slowly crawling to his feet with blood hanging from his face in long strings. His entire body is like one solid frickin' glow. He looks like a damned blur. I can't anticipate his movements at all. Richard runs at Jake, who tilts his body, causing the younger fighter to overshoot him by a step. Jake hooks the boy under his arm and throws his hip up, slamming the smaller fighter to his back over him. Richard shouts in pain as his back sinks into and indents the stage almost a full inch. Jake staggers backwards, his chest heaving as he waits to see if his opponent will stay down. Looks like the kid can't take a punch nearly as well as he gives one, Jake thinks, trying to smile but instead grimacing in pain from his jaw. Richard slowly stands up before dropping to a hand and knee. The boy's vision is blurred and his head is spinning. He seems unable to find his balance, swaying slightly in place. Jake watches now as the once almost blinding glow has all but faded completely. When he's wounded, it dies down. It seems tied to his stamina, like some kind of gauge or indicator. Richard again tries to stand before again dropping to a knee. The boy holds up a hand in submission. I give. You win, Richard coughs. Jake walks over and helps the boy to his feet. Man, I wish I was half as tough as you at that age. Thanks. My dad really pushes the training. He's a military guy, Richard replies, allowing Jake to help him up. I know what you mean. My uncle's a former Navy SEAL. Richard exits the stage to be greeted by a younger brother and a dark-skinned Hispanic man wearing a black, tight-fitting t-shirt that reads Navy in bold white lettering. Richard's father tussles the boy's hair with a smile, and the family walks off towards the funnel cake stand. Good job, Jake, Gator says with a smile as Jake steps off the stage. Yeah, good for you, you beat a kid, Mitch mocks. You're just mad that I win the bragging rights now that you're eliminated. You haven't won jack yet. You have to get a top 3 finish, that was the deal. Gator leans over and whispers loud enough for Mitch to still purposely hear. Just keep winning and prove him wrong. Jake nods, feeling good that his uncle, a great military hero, is proud of him, but still wishing that his own father were able to come watch him, instead of always having to put in overtime at the Conco factory. They make medical equipment or something, Jake thinks. Assuming it has to be important work for his father to only be home a few hours a week. Jake and Rusty wander off to play some carnival games, as it will be a while before the next round of the tournament begins. Hey, Miller, Jake says as their friend stands in front of a game where one throws darts at balloons to win a prize. Miller nods, not saying anything as he tries to maintain concentration. He tosses his last dart, which bounces off the balloon as if the tip were made of marshmallow, rather than metal. The damn carnival games are rigged. Want us to declare shenanigans? Jake asks. No, it's fine. I didn't want the autographed poster of the most awesome band of all time anyways. Miller shouts loudly in protest, having been trying to win an autographed poster of Metallica's recent tour for the state. Rusty gives the game's manager a ticket, receiving 2 darts in return from the typical long-haired, skinny refugee from a Grateful Dead concert. Rusty, despite the carney's protests, pops the intended balloon with his first dart and hands Miller his desired poster. Merry Christmas, Rusty grins. Show off? Miller thankfully replies. Did you see Jake fight in the tournament a few minutes ago? No, I didn't even know it was his turn. Miller replies, turning to face Jake. You look terrible. I hate to ask, but did you win? Yeah, I'm waiting for the third round to start. Cool. When it starts, I'll make sure that I'm over there to watch. Are there any other good games around here? Rusty asks. Hell no. They all cheat, Miller grumbles, causing both Jake and Rusty to burst into laughter. Jake and Rusty play several more games before returning to the stage to see the final match of the second round. An enormous musclehead, who could be Dolph Lundgren's stand-in, fights against one of the boys that Jake recognizes from earlier in the 4-H pavilion, named Marcus. The large man, named Damian, or DJ, Radnovich, is a 5-time qualifier for the World Martial Arts Championships. Radnovich swings at Marcus, who backflips to dodge and posts with one hand, kicking the giant in the face. The big man's head barely moves from the kick, and he grabs Marcus by the ankle, hurling him high into the air. Marcus throws his weight back to straighten himself out, but Radnovich leaps higher up, much higher than simple physics suggests his size would allow him, and backhands the teen across the face. Marcus crashes into the stage like a meteor, splitting the padded wooden frame in two. Radnovich lands and waits to see if he has won or not. He's so worthless, Danny sighs, shaking her head and walking away from where she and the other boy are standing to watch the fight. Marcus pulls himself from the debris and staggers to his feet, blood running down his face. Had enough, kid? Radnovich asks. Marcus spits a mouthful of blood to the side and lowers into a fighting stance with a grin. The ogre is no good either. He has incredible strength, but his spirit's not right. Marcus needs to win so that we can check out his next opponent, Danny says. The guy from our class? The other teen, named Evan Glaus, asks in surprise. There's something unique about him. I can't describe it, but I can feel he's destined for something important. I think he's the one, but I can't be sure. Marcus leaps at Radnovich with a right hook, but the large man sidesteps and uppercuts the teenager in the chest. Marcus falls to his back, gasping for air and unable to get back up to his feet. Radnovich is declared the winner. Idiot, Danny growls. If Jake wins the tournament, he's the one. If he doesn't, then it's probably the Asian guy. Glaus nods and the two of them walk off, knowing that the next round will be delayed as they repair the stage. The mayor returns, announcing that round 3 will begin on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Jake spends the night at his cousin's house, staying up late playing NBA Jam with Rusty until Derek comes home around 11 p.m., himself having stayed over at Chris's house the previous night. You should have seen it, bro. Jake won and Mitch lost. It was awesome, Rusty excitedly tells his brother. Do you really have a shot at winning the whole thing? Derek asks Jake. Jake shrugs, his character in the game shooting a three-pointer successfully over Rusty, who isn't paying attention, his controller lying on the floor. I doubt it, Jake says. I can maybe win the next round, but after that is the semifinal, and from what I've seen, these guys are going to be really tough. The guys that beat Rusty and Mitch are likely to be half of the final 4. Yeah, but you're on fire. You're going to beat that cocky jerk that beat me, Rusty shouts. I can't wait to see the look on his face when he loses. Don't put too much pressure on me. That guy is a real beast. I'll try my best, but come on. Any time we've ever sparred, we've been pretty dead even. If he beat you so handedly, I really doubt I'll fare much better against him. You're a lot better strategist than me. You find weaknesses and openings to exploit. You can outsmart him, and then outfight him. Well, I appreciate your confidence in me. Don't worry, I'm still going to beat you bad enough in this game that you'll need the boosted confidence, Rusty says as he picks back up the controller, and his character immediately steals an inbound pass, running down the court for an uncontested layup. Rusty drops his controller, pretending it is on fire. Guard the in-pass, showboat, Jake says, passing for an open jump shot. Conco Factory, Rockland, Indiana. The Conco factory and office building produce over 25% of the town's jobs, ranging from manufacturing to the employees in its own private food court. The factory at the edge of town creates medical equipment, such as assisted breathing apparatuses. Facility night supervisor Kevin Spaulding walks up and down the production lines, checking the statuses of both employee and machine. The light ghost shift crew works mostly maintenance and cleanup, while the fully automated machines produce a steady stream of parts to be sent up to assembly. Extrusion's having problems with line 7, a man says, walking up to the supervisor. Damn, we just had that repaired. I'll go check it out, Spaulding sighs. Spaulding leaves the floor to head up to the extrusion production area. A strange voice intercepts the supervisor from the shadows, shrill and barely recognizable as human. Your report is past due, the mysterious figure hisses from the shadows. What are you doing here? Spaulding asks, unnerved by the appearance of their liaison to the Chicago headquarters. The CEO of Conco, Antonio Kahn, rarely makes any public appearances, instead sending one of his liaisons when he needs immediate actions taken. The main corporate office, located in Chicago, houses not only Kahn's personal office suite, but is also headquarters for the entire northern region, comprising 12 offices north of Appalachia. While we do appreciate the legitimate revenue that you produce here, you know that our larger profits come from elsewhere. You are supposed to deliver a minimum of 10 test subjects for the next trial run. So where are they? The Chicago representative asks, still fully hidden in the darkness. There were too many questions the last time. Feds were even nosing around. I can't just have employees start disappearing again. Then you had better get some out-of-towners quickly. Mr. Kahn's patience with your ineptitude has run dry. The representative growls, vanishing as mysteriously as he appeared. Spaulding trembles, sweating heavily. The Chicago representative does this to him each encounter. He exudes an air of mistrust and malevolence. The man always stays to the shadows, growls more than talks, and appears only during the midnight shifts. While not a religious man, Spaulding is sure that if devils exist on earth, one has just left his audience. He will soon be here. A familiar-sounding voice cuts through the blackness. Who? The Dark General, Yamura. He is coming for you. Me? Why me? It can only be you. It is your destiny. I don't want any stupid destiny. I just want to pass all my classes and get a date. Is that so much to ask? Some of us can never have that in life. It is not meant to be. Jake awakens from sleep in Rusty and Derek's bedroom at 3 a.m. on Saturday morning. The other boys are still fast asleep. Mitch has not yet come home from partying with his friends. Dang, another weird dream. I really do need to have my head examined. This can't be normal, Jake thinks. The Dark General Yamura. He's coming for you, Jake repeats in his head, echoing the warning of the mysterious voice. I gotta clear the cobwebs and focus on getting some rest. Tomorrow is a big day. Jake exhales deeply in an attempt to calm his nerves and goes back to sleep. Are you ready? Sue asks Jake as she gets the boys up, rousing them from sleep for the third day of the tournament. Jake moans, rolling out of bed and changing out of his dirty Motley Crue t-shirt into a clean orange t-shirt that reads County Jail and a pair of green khakis. I think so, Jake replies, unsure of his own abilities and whether or not he can trust in developing his strange new senses of seeing people's auras, though he still doesn't quite understand that's exactly what he's seeing yet. Just don't cry when you lose. You wouldn't want to embarrass the rest of the family, Mitch says, exiting his bedroom and closing the door behind him, locking it. I would wish you luck, but you already lost. Jake grins, his reply silencing his older cousin, who storms downstairs as loudly as possible. Gator pokes his head into the stairway and shouts, Hurry up! We'll get some Mickey D's on the way, but we need to leave right now if we want to make it to the fairgrounds before 9 a.m., Gator says. Jake glances over at Mitch's locked bedroom door. Looking forward to having your own rooms by this time next year? Absolutely. Mitch has gotten to enjoy his own room for like 3 years now since Michael moved out. It's definitely our turn, Rusty replies. You are going to move your own bed in there and not use Mitch's, right? I'm not about to catch some second-hand case of crabs or lobsters or whatever other invertebrates are crawling around in his sheets, Derek replies quickly with enthusiasm. Jake bursts into laughter, picturing some of the girls that Mitch has brought home in the past. Most of the time, he sneaks off upstairs with them and disappears for an hour or so. Really classy chicks, Jake thinks, knowing that each girl that comes home with his cousin must be aware of his reputation and track record. Jake then thinks of their friend Kaylee, knowing that she too cannot be ignorant of Mitch's nature, yet still wants to get with him anyways. The thought of having to admit that his closest female friend isn't above the gutter standards, which he attributes to Mitch, angers him, and he's forced to push the thoughts aside. Never having any true siblings, Jake becomes especially attached to his friends, regarding them as family. The idea that one he tends to think of almost like a sister is slinging leg for an arrogant, chauvinistic ass like Mitch isn't exactly a pleasant one. Jake grabs his overnight bag and shoves his shirt from the previous night into it, along with his Walkman full of compact discs. We're leaving, with or without you guys, Gator shouts, already behind the wheel of his truck. Jake, Rusty, and Derek hop into the back of the black Ford. Gator drives through town, pulling into the drive-through window of McDonald's. After fighting the wind for their McMuffins, the boys arrive at the state fairgrounds in Indianapolis. After entering the fair, they see a crowd gathered near the stage awaiting them. Most of their friends from school, including K-Dog, Chris, Miller, Red Hawk, and Lee, and the Madison family, stand ready to greet the Rigsbys and Jake. Do your best, Jake, Kaylee says. No, do better. We want you to win, K-Dog laughs. We can't all be champions like you, Kyle, Jake replies. K-Dog having won the state 3-on-3 Gus Macker basketball tournament the previous evening as well as the previous 2 years before that. You really should have taken up round ball, then I could have made you my apprentice. No thanks, I'm not into the whole tight shorts group showers thing. It is what it is, K-Dog shrugs. I still attract way more females than you. Won't argue with you there, Jake sighs, unable to even remember the last date he went on. Rebecca, Tanya? Hell, those couldn't even be considered dates. His mother chaperoned them to Burger King and Taco Bell respectively, and both were last year. The date with Tanya went well, Jake thought, until he found out from a mutual friend that she wanted to get back together with her ex-boyfriend, and that their outing had only been platonic, to get her mind off dating. That had been an electrified spear for sure. The thought of the super-hot, slender blonde seeing him as a complete non-threat and non-date basically locked Jake into an inescapable box. And Rebecca, while not quite as hot, a little thicker with wavy black hair, seemed to be a much better conversationalist, but it quickly became an even worse experience when it became clear that she had just been wanting to get to know Mitch through his cousin and used the night to glean as much information from him as possible. By the end of the night, Jake just called his cousin and gave him her number. By Monday morning at school, Jake learned that Mitch had drilled her only 3 hours after Jake and his mom dropped her off at that same night. The only satisfaction for Jake was that the next night, Mitch went out with a completely different girl, leaving Rebecca on the sidelines as just another conquest. You need to do something, Red Hawk adds. At this rate, Gavin will have a girlfriend before you. Does Angela count? Lee asks with a laugh. Only when he sits on it long enough to do the stranger, Red Hawk adds, laughing even more. All right, Peanut Gallery. I don't see either of you pulling in babes by the scores. Hell, I don't even see you pulling them in by the ones, Jake says. I just don't kiss and tell, Red Hawk says. I've seen his girlfriends while they were out grazing before. You have no reason to be jealous, Lee laughs. Tabitha wasn't that big, was she? Red Hawk asks with a whisper. Lee only nods, still laughing. Red Hawk shrugs. No wonder she was so skilled with her mouth. She had plenty of practice. You guys are hopeless, Jake sighs. Is it too late for me to trade you in and make nice with the jocks? Depends. Do you mind wearing lingerie? Chris asks. He turns to Gavin. No offense. Fuck off, Gavin says, aggravated that once again he's the punchline. The mayor snaps Jake out of his fun as he announces the beginning of the tournament's third round. Alright, guys, it's time, Jake says, stretching out.